This is a demo of the 1979-ish, I guess, Marauder that I got in parts. The body is new, the pickups are original, and the neck is original, but pretty much everything is new. The pickguard, the bridge, the stop tail, the pots, the switch. So I guess the only thing original to this guitar is the pickups and the neck. Even the headstock is refinished, but yeah, as you can see, the new nut fixed the problem I was having with the E's popping out. It's kind of a little buzzy right now, but that's because I have it on the bridge pickup, which is kind of like a Telecaster pickup, and it doesn't like being right by my computers. I figured I would do a quick audio sample. To be able to get the bridge pickup to balance with the neck pickup, I had to put the bridge up really high and the neck really low because the neck is like a humbucker. So you can see the neck is almost flush with the body and the bridge pickup is really high up. But they sound good, or better that way, because they sound more similar in output. So anyway, the bridge pickup by itself is just volume and tone. I didn't do anything funky with the wiring. Middle, which still has a buzz, of course. Not as much because it's got the humbucker mixed into it, but it's got a little bit of hum if I move the guitar one way or the other. The neck by itself, much quieter, so you can wiggle it around and it's not adding a bunch of noise. Neck humbucker is really, really bassy, but not in a bad way. The bridge pickup isn't as trebly as people kind of had warned me it would be. It kind of sounds a lot like a normal single coil to me, but not even that bright, especially since I've got 500K pots. I expected it to be a lot brighter and kind of annoyingly bright, sort of like a Jaguar bridge pickup by itself, but it's not. It's actually not bad. Maybe it was designed to work with 500K pots. The neck pickup humbucker, but kind of a weird one, but The only stuff that was kind of a pain as far as getting this set up, other than that nut issue where the high E and low E were popping out, I couldn't keep them in the slot when I had it tuned. It would pop out. This Graphtech nut has a lot deeper groove into it, so it holds the strings in fine. I also went down to 10s instead of 11s, and that might help also. Not quite as much tension, and they're a little bit smaller. Was getting the neck set up because it had a lot of relief, so I had to tighten the neck probably about a half or maybe even a full turn. I don't know if it was untightened all the way for being worked on, and that's why it was so loose, but it had a really it had a lot of relief. Now it's much more straight, so it plays better. I was having trouble. I'd have the bridge really high up, the action really high up, and it was making stuff out of tune up the neck because of the neck being, curved too much. And if I lower the action to where it would be better, it was buzzing because there was too much curve in the neck. So now that it's straightened out a little bit more, I can have the action not as high, and it still plays well. Another thing that's kind of weird about these necks, because not a lot of people probably have Marauders, it's bolt-on, is that it's bolted on, and the heels, like the neck's at an angle. Like they angled the back of it, so when you bolt it on, the neck is actually angled, sort of like how Gibson necks angle, but as a bolt-on, which I thought was kind of cool. It's higher up, towards the pickups than over here, slanted by design. These machine screws were a pain to put in. I actually thought I was going to break these bolts because it was so hard to tighten them into the neck. And they're really long. They go almost all the way, through the entire neck. They're really long bolts. So I don't see this neck coming off without breaking. And the new Alder body is really nice. I did the paint job on it. It's not perfect, but I think it's pretty good. I did not sand through. There's black paint under the white. I had thought about kind of making it relic-y and sanding through some parts to have the black show through, because that'd be fun with the black parts on the guitar and the black headstock to have bits of black worn through, but I decided just leave it alone. It intonated well with this kind of harmonica bridge. Pretty normal looking intonation, basically an angled line across to get it to intonate. The frets are a little uneven, but not unbearable, not to the point where I can't play it, and I don't feel like messing with the frets. They're a little sharp on the edges, but again, nothing that I can't just deal with and suck it up. The repair work that Cooterfinger did turned out really nice. It's got 5 pieces of wood. The neck is 3 pieces, and then the back has the centerpiece, these 2 pieces, and then these thin pieces. And what had happened was the original chunk of it had snapped off, and then the person who had owned it before just drilled a hole into it or whatever to try to attach the piece of wood, and he took it off and cut a piece of wood and glued it, a new piece of wood, and it's it's holding great, and you can't even really tell that it was replaced. It matches really nicely. So I'm very happy. The new tuners are nice. They're not the low profile ones, but they work really well. It's got a volute, so I don't have to worry so much about the headstock snapping off. I might take it in because, as you can see, the nut overhangs a little bit on each side. I don't really want to grind it off because I'm kind of worried about it snapping at the top where the strings hold in. I might just ignore it because when I play, my hands don't go so high that I'm touching the nut anyway. If I'm doing cowboy chords, my hand's not going to touch the nut, so I might just leave it alone rather than mess with it. But overall, turned out pretty nice. I'm happy with the Olympic white off of the stark white pickguard. I think it contrasts nicely, and the black in the pickguard accents the pickups and the headstock nicely, and the black knobs. They all kind of work well together. Quirky guitar. I don't know if I can really call it a Marauder since The only thing that actually is stock Marauder, well, it's the shape of a Marauder, is the neck and the pickups. I suppose since it's laid out the same as a Marauder, then it still counts as one. I would not sell it or list it if I sold it as a stock Marauder, of course, and I probably won't sell it. It's, you know, 79 is the same year I was born, so kind of one of the things that attracted me to it. It's kind of fun to mess around with, and I think it turned out pretty nice. Anyway, that's kind of my demo of it. He did have, I don't know if the stock had contours, but he put a contour on the back, and there's a slight contour on this front part. Not very much, but a little bit. That's the Marauder project.